Live. We're live. We're live. Okay, right. You guys just talk amongst yourselves for a second while I prepare my phone so that I can see any comments that come up.
Who did Born to Be Alive?
Do you know what I was thinking then in my head? Baby, we were born to run. It's not the right one, is it?
No. Sung like that. I don't know who that's by.
Hey, I'm part of a band in my head.
Born to Be Alive was Patrick Hernandez.
No idea who that is.
We're probably going to get struck off Facebook if I play it, aren't we?
Yeah, you will do. Quick, pause it. We'll get it. We will.
That was Patrick Hernandez and Born to Be Alive. You're listening to the
radio, dude.
You're listening to the Christ Knows Whatever Hour with me, Steve Whitten, and my guest today, the chief rebel that is Emma Shaw.
Oh, I love that. God. Oh, this is making.
And we're joined as well by a very special guest all the way from up there in Leeds, vaping her way through the next hour. It's Lisa Avins.
Lisa having it. Lisa having it.
Apologies.
Right, well, we've got MK with us, we've got Phil with us, we've got Cheryl with us. Oh, we've got all the goodies.
Cheryl with us.
We've got
Cheryl, guess what, love? This was in my plan. In the plan that I keep talking to you about. In the plan. We've got 3 other people. Oh no, we've got 8 people live. We've got Fiona, we've got Claire, we've got Jill. Oh my God, guys, so happy to see you. MK's not sure if they can handle it, but they're staying on for the laughs.
Ah, well,
so you feel free to do.
They're in safe hands. Don't worry, we can handle you.
We're having an excitable time. We've talked about some good stuff already before we've gone live, and I've had to curb the flow of the juice, so to speak, because there's been too much good stuff happening behind the scenes, and we want to save it for you lot. So
we have been spilling our juices all over each other's faces.
Oh God!
Before...
Right, okay. Warning, audience. Stephen is on one today. Okay, so we'll try. We'll try and curb him. But not too much, because you know.
By the way,
not just too much because we want him to be himself.
The musical bit at the beginning. Do you know how you could turn a duck into a soul singer?
Oh my God!
Oh God!
You put it in a microwave until it's Bill Withers.
You really like that. Now, weirdly, Phil has actually put in Bill Withers in the comments almost prophetically.
What?
Knowing that you were about to say that joke. How weird is that? Yeah. So there we go.
There you go. That's serendipity, that is.
It is. Jill needs some distraction today, so we're certainly going to provide that distraction.
Sending love, Jilly Bob. Sending love.
Yeah.
Jill's one of our newest Rebel Yell members.
Yeah. PM me for to have some input to the business plan for a special event I've got organised.
Oh God,
Jill, do not PM him. I'll speak to you later, darling. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Definitely don't do it, Jill.
You notice how I refrain from using the word. Let's
get back on some kind of track. Why on earth are we streaming live right now into the group, Steve? It was you were like, let's get on and do a thing. So what was the topic that you wanted to talk about particularly?
Well, in a nutshell, and in a nutshell, this is me in a nutshell. Austin Powers, circa 1996. We had a conversation this morning about seeds of doubt.
Hi, Charles.
We did.
Seeds of doubt, right? Okay.
Yeah. So the kind of title for this is about seeds of doubt, and what we were getting at was, without going into too fine a detail, was the whole point about what happens, especially around social media, if somebody was to say something or do something that causes someone else to then go, oh, I don't know if I want to be involved in that, or I don't know if I want to buy that or participate or whatever.
Hot topic.
Yeah, hence then the conversation. And as a ex-car salesman, long time ago, of course, not anymore, moved on. So as an ex-car salesman, I'm fully aware of the whole thing about seeds of doubt, because you know, we used to work our what's-its off to try and avoid this seed of doubt creeping in with a customer, because if they walk out the door, they're probably not going to come back and buy from you.
Yeah, you get that buyer's remorse thing.
Yeah.
Your seeds of doubt now has grown massively because of social media, because there's so many mediums coming at you at every angle, at every time of day, that seed of doubt you can carry with you, not just for that interaction, not just for that day, but for a long time. That suddenly starts growing and changing who you are. And
it's just noise. Sorry.
Can I just say at this point as well, Shirley, do you remember, Steve, sorry, do you remember Shirley's Gray? She's saying that gorgeous Shirley, she met you in a Daventry hotel. You were both there to deliver training. Do you remember that?
I do, and we agreed that we would never talk about that. I do remember Shirley Gray, and I do remember that we did have
lovely.
Come untucked. Yeah, no, it's not good. It's riding up my back. We did talk about getting together and having a coffee for a chat, but it never happened. But
let's put that on the radar.
We have a virtual coffee. Shirley, to you. Jus d'orange.
I've got a virtual energy spiced punch fizz stick, courtesy of Anne Gerling. Thank you.
That looks like you've emptied someone's catheter bag.
That would be a real problem if that was the colour, I think.
I was going to say there's a problem if it's that colour.
Well, there sometimes is, if you've ever had any renal surgery.
Right, okay, let's move on. This is so crazy today.
It's like random, innit?
Weird, crazy energy going on. It's
I bet we get more listeners like this, though, innit?
Would we?
What?
MK's got a bottle of Coke and crumpets, just to let us know what they're eating. Nice one.
A bottle of Coke?
Ask her why.
Why, MK? Why the bottle of Coke and crumpets? Ooh.
Why does she keep her Coke in a bottle? That's what I want to know.
Well, you know, where places, any. So, seed of doubt. Why the seed? So you also posted Stephen, behave yourself.
We're going to have to ban him in a minute.
I know. I'm just going to hoof him off. You also posted...
What, from that distance?
No! Stop it!
Sorry.
It's only midday.
I got to be all professional at 1 o'clock and do an interview.
Come on, let's be serious now. We've got some good stuff to talk right here.
I'll tell you what,
so you posted a really beautiful video before about authenticity, and how the big message for that for me was about how we stifle our authenticity. And this is what we're all about here at Rebels. Not stifling that authenticity. And the reason that we do it is because our parents, through what is essentially fearful behaviour and stress and anxiety in their own insecurities and hang-ups, accidentally end up suppressing our authenticity, because the messages we get as children is your emotion and your authenticity is too much and you need to dial it down. And what that does is it affects our relationships with those that we are attached to and are significantly important to us in our lives, and creates a fear that if we are our authentic selves, then we potentially could or will lose those relationships with those important people in our lives. And that plays out on social media all the time. And it's actually making me quite emotional to talk about, because it's so, and even the most wonderful, powerful, loving upbringing, we all, because we're all human and we're all fallible and we all have those insecurities, we always, are in environments where our parents or our caregivers in some way will pass those messages on to us. So what was it? Did you just sort of stumble over that on, by accident, or was it something you went out looking for?
No, I'll tell you what happened. What actually happened. I sent the Master Rebels WhatsApp group, an amazing place to be. I sent you all a WhatsApp this morning, didn't I?
Huh?
Yeah.
Because something happened to me this week. A few people know that there's a fairly major bit of life drama going on in the world of Sir Steve Whitten.
We've got Jack online, by the way. Hi, Jack. One of our faves.
Hello.
And Phil saying you need a yellow card.
Hey?
Phil says you need the yellow card.
For what?
Be naughty.
That won't stop me.
Slowly encourage him.
This is all about being a rebel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I sent this note to you guys, and I copied it and sent it to a few others, and I put it on this other WhatsApp group that I'm on, and immediately got some responses about it. And somebody sent me a link to that video, and I watched it, and I thought, oh my God, that is absolutely it. And what Gabor Mate talks about in this video is that, you know, unless you're a reptiles have this thing where the mother lays the eggs and she clears off. The reptile hatches and then the baby takes care of itself. So that has a baby reptile has no attachment need whatsoever. It either lives or dies based on its own instincts. You go into the world of the avian world, the bird world, and of course they have an attachment because they're dependent on their parents to feed them. But that attachment disappears quickly when they fly the nest. And what he talks about, and this is really interesting, is that as human beings, our brains are actually, as species go, not anywhere near as evolved as we think, because we have this attachment thing that happens right from birth, right the way through childhood, and for many of us all of us, I would say, into adulthood. Yeah. And that explains why, for me, bloody hell, this is just coming to me, that explains why we have grief, why we have love, why we have bereavement, why we have fear, everything. And, you know, you put all of those emotions together, and I've talked before about the ego wall of Lego and all that stuff. And the reality of it is we're almost kind of nurtured to have this self-doubt, lack of self-belief. And what happens is inside we're going, well, I really want to be this person. But actually, if I go, whoa, this is me, I run the risk of the attachment relationships that I have that I'm so dependent on actually breaking down, because these people will go, well, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to, you know. And of course, you imagine saying that to a 5-year-old, you know, you be your complete self. But if you do, you run the risk of mummy and daddy leaving you. That, now, the reality is that's like, yeah, but that psychologically is pretty much what's happening.
Yeah. And it, you know, when you that connection you just made, that meaning you just made there was absolutely stunning, because when you look at all the behaviors that, you know, we bump up against each other, you know, clumsily in life, don't we, with our anxieties and our hang-ups and our fear and our triggers and our this, that and the other, and it's all because of this fundamental attachment thing. And I talk a lot all the time about, you know, this thing that Peter Sage has taught me and us on EMF, that everything you know, a lot of what you experience in life comes down to where you perceive you did or didn't get love as a child. And I am seeing that so clearly everywhere I go now. And it, you know, that our ability to become emotionally self-sufficient, like there's only so far we seem to be able to go with that at the moment, you know, as a species. And like you say, you know, that, you know, maybe we're not as evolved as we think, but then the flip side of that is we're a beautiful species of interconnected consciousness.
Yeah.
And I sincerely believe that when one of us hurts, all of us hurt.
And it's habitual learning, isn't it? Because that's the point about that nurture piece that you said about there, Steve, where everybody is that cut out carbon copy of each other, needing to be loved, needing to be wanted, needing to be lusted after, needing to be kind of welcomed into somebody's space and feeling like they are needed. And we've got that learned behavior where we kind of give that to other people, so I'll make sure I look after people and everything else. And it's that cutting of that cord and that stepping forward of going, well, actually, if I display a different behavior, it's not that I'm going to be on my own and I'm going to be disliked. It's that people are going to go, what does that feel like? What's that brave new world over there? But we are patterned, and it's a psychological response for us just to follow in those footsteps. So we don't make new ones, we stand in each other's. And that's when we come out with, and that's like the great term, rebels and rule breakers, because that's what it is, isn't it? We've probably all been told at one point that because we've done something different, oh, you rebel, you. Am I? Why am I just following my own path?
Yeah, or because we've done something different, get back down, get in your box.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Similarly, you know, I mean, you're off to you're doing an interview, aren't you, at 1 o'clock, Lisa? So, you know, that's another example of where, you know, we see a job and we think, oh, I like that, I'm going to go for that job, and then we get an insight into the company and we think, oh, I want to be attached to that team, I want to be attached to that business. Now, you know,
Bill, I'm not going for an interview. I'm interviewing somebody as part of the Don't Panic. You're going to set her off on a panic, Jill. It's okay. I'm not going for an interview.
But, you know, and I've done that in the past. And you take the motor trade, where I'm, you know, well known and I've worked for all my life pretty much. And that's full of that, you know, and people are lured by the shiny badge of, you know, actually, I don't want to work for Volkswagen anymore. I want to go and sell Mercedes. And you get there and you realise, and the phrase that we use is actually, it's the same shit, different wallpaper.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you've stepped out of one job and you think, oh, I didn't want to work there. I'm going to go and attach myself to that because that's more within my values. And you get there and you think, oh, no, actually, it's just the bloody same, really.
Or because somebody's told you how great it is. You haven't made your own assessment.
Yeah.
Where they've probably bigged up the Mercedes world and gone, yeah, well, I get this and I get that and I get the, oh, well, I don't get that. I deserve that.
My car's bigger than your car and all that.
Yeah. But equally, we get told how to be hurt and how to be triggered and how to be offended. MK's saying some great stuff that I have to bring in here. It happens indirectly, but this is how a child learns to be racist and homophobic due to external and indirect and direct conversations, which lead children wanting to please parents and in turn wanting that love from them. And then also they say later, it's the wanting to please people and be loved and feel loved, that what I've learned is that you can please people and still not have the love you want. So you have to step out in the world and be you, and you draw like-minded people into your world, and that in turn brings love. Wow.
Well, that was exactly.
And Zoe said, remove the bloody box. Yeah, Zoe and I talked about getting rid of. Oh God!
And this phrase that companies use, you know, think outside the box. No, you know, don't put someone in a bloody box.
Get rid of the box.
Don't put people in a box, and then you don't have to think outside it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And what you said, MK said there, links back to what we were talking about before we went on air, which is which is exactly what's dawned on me this week. You know, in a very emotionally laden and very expensive way.
Are you happy to let us into a bit of that?
Sorry, say that again.
Are you happy to let us into a bit of that? I mean, you know, whatever level of it you want to share, what the learnings are, maybe.
Maybe I have to be careful I don't say anything that could be used against me if it's being recorded. But yeah,
maybe start with the learnings, you know.
Right. Well, the learning is that you can spend. I'll put it this way. Then you can spend a lifetime in your striving for attachment, giving other people everything they want and the life that they want,
or they think they want.
And actually, it then becomes all about them.
Yeah.
And that carries itself through everything. And
because actually what you're doing is feeding the need for those surface things that are filling a gap where love should be for them, where they think, you know, this spiritual gap they've got for love, they're mistakenly believing that the things will fill that, you know, that perhaps not even recognizing they've got a gap, subconsciously trying to fill that with the things. And by being the provider of that, you're inadvertently feeding that gap. And it never gets healed. It's like putting a sticking plaster on a
gaping wound. It is.
Hemophiliac wound.
Exactly. And if you never sit and talk about this, and you never, delve into it and deal with it, and you know, some people might say, well, this is just overthinking it. You know, could it just be that gradually over years, you know, a relationship has become toxic and it's time to move on? And it could be as simple as that. But the reality of it, if you start looking at, you know, how this came about, is it links back to stuff that we've talked about also, that actually in that dynamic, one person takes on the role of victim, the other person takes on the role of controller.
Oh, yeah.
And the two things just keep feeding each other.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm honest, you know, me as the controller was the one who was trying to fix the other one and provide everything that person wanted, because they continually be in this victim and everything, the world is against them and this, that, and the other. And actually the thing just snowballs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the chips were down, victim accuses you of being controlling and you're going, not really.
Mm-hmm. Or when you remove yourself from controlling it and start to break that cycle, you're suddenly the bad person because you're not providing that support anymore to the victim world. So how dare you not support me to grow my victim self?
Absolutely, yeah. And in the process, you then start doubting yourself, thinking, well, is it me? You know, I'm having inner voice issues here.
Hi, little Stevie. I've not seen him for a while.
My inner voice, you see, he can't talk because it's my inner voice. But you start having doubts and worry and concern and thinking, well, is it me? You know, why did what I just say not land in the way that I meant it? Why has that been twisted and turned into something else?
Yeah.
You know, and then you start thinking, well, no, it genuinely is me. I'm the one with the problem. I'm the one that's gone out and bought a puppet to represent my inner voice. What does that say about me? Well, what's going on here?
And what does it say about you?
What it says about me is that my authenticity has been suppressed since I was about 6.
And that you're striving to be authentic, but need a medium to present that authenticity to, because then it removes it, doesn't it? It's that step away of I'm being authentic here and through something else whilst protecting myself from being authentic, because it's a step away.
Yeah.
He personalizes it.
You know what's really interesting about this for me is that the person you have to look after, so you talked about that, you know, that kind of dynamic in a relationship, any kind of relationship where you're essentially feeding somebody with the things they think they need and want to fill that gap, in order for them to feel love in some weird way that's not quite right. Actually, what I think you're coming to, Steve, is an awareness that the first and only person you can and should truly love is you first. And that by trying to show everybody else love in a way that perhaps isn't as you know, useful or meaningful as we'd like, that in itself is almost a sticking plaster for the fact that you don't feel it yourself, and you don't feel it for yourself, and you're not getting it from the places you want to get it from. Yeah. And the only person that we can be wholly responsible for to love ourselves is us. You know, we can't expect everybody else to love us if we don't love ourselves first, because that will never feel.
Mama Roo.
So right, Mama Roo. But you can't expect anybody to love you if you've got that big gaping hole of lack of love,
because you will always put barriers up, and it's somebody will say, and you know, I face this person, I face this in my mind of, I love you, you're wonderful, yeah, but this is wrong. Or when you do something really good and you think that was really good, that person goes back with, yeah, but this was wrong and this was wrong and this was wrong. Why? Just enjoy the moment, just enjoy the compliment, and just enjoy being you without suddenly having all this, yeah, but this wasn't right, that wasn't right, I didn't do this, I wasn't that, I wasn't kind of perfect within that scenario, because then it taints it and it rips it apart.
Yeah.
And you think, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother.
I'm trying to think what the Mamaroo thing is now. What is it she says? If you can
love yourself, how the hell do you expect that?
We did that well, didn't we?
Where's
you
this
can't love
Mama Roo
yourself,
from,
honey.
by the
You
way?
gotta love somebody else. Something like that, isn't
Can
it?
I get an amen?
Oh, Mama Roo, we love you.
Where is Mama Roo from, by the way? I wasn't getting it from that accent.
Cornwall.
Arkansas.
Oh, Arkansas. I was getting right down there in the Midwest. Jolene, get down from that tree.
Is she Arkansas? Is she really? No.
Spelled
No, of course she's
Arkansas.
It's the first state that came into mind. And the only reason that is because whilst my beautiful eldest daughter is at university, is very intelligent, she's got no common sense. And we were going through general knowledge questions of if you were to put the states of America in alphabetical order, what would it be? So Wyoming's obviously last. And she said Arkansas. And I was like, no, Alabama. Arkansas comes forward. A, B, C, D. She spelled it A-K, not A-R.
Oh.
But sat in the pub garden going A, B, C, D, E, F. Oh, yeah.
I need to share some stuff with you that's going on in the chat, some beautiful, beautiful stuff. So Andrew Scarisbrick says, Andrew's been a really good contributor lately. My boy has Asperger's. I never know it's Asperger's or Asperger's. I always forget. Growing up, he developed a wonderful technique whereby if he needed me whilst at school, he would have a meltdown. Not a real one, but he realised that, hey, if it worked when I was having one, then maybe. So learned behaviour, we're all guilty of it. So it's kind of emotional manipulation to a certain degree, isn't it? We learn it's learned adapted child behaviour from a transactional analysis perspective. And MK says every time you step back and evaluate, there will always be that self-doubt. Comes with that not only brings a negative but also brings a positive, and it allows you to push and move forward in a direction that fits more with your dreams and wants and goals rather than someone else's. And if you do that, you will find people who will love you for you and in turn feel loved because they are not trying to change you and you're not trying to be something you're not for someone else. And hell yeah, Mama Roo, queen sort of hollers here. And Wendy is saying, I'm sorry if I'm talking about nothing to do with this topic. I was always told to stop turning waterworks on. This is spot on, Wendy. Don't be so sensitive. Don't get angry. Don't get cross with people. Then say what you really think. And tried it once and immediately got shut down. Feel this so much, Wendy. Find it impossible now to get angry or give my opinion. Always done and given others everything, and in the process been used by others. I find it easier to help support others, but find it impossible to do the same for myself. So I so feel that this is the problem I had, particularly with corporate life. I was too emotional for corporate life. And I fought too hard for what was right and what was fair and what was just. And I was told to pipe down. And I know, Lisa, you had a similar thing.
The problem is we're trying to we're trying to achieve the attachment that we talked about. Yeah. And as a result, I've worked for organizations where the underlying culture is FIFO, fit in or F off. Yeah. Well, I've always got to a point where I've gone, I'll choose the F off bit then. Yeah. Because I don't want that. Yeah. And that's what I chose. And unfortunately, a lot of people are choosing that. And maybe fortunately, because maybe it will turn the tide. I spoke to, if she's still online, Zoe, we spoke to a mutual friend of ours, Julia, last night, who is working for she's just got a new job with an amazing company called Cloudwater Brewery. I can't say that, brewery. And the way she describes their culture is absolutely phenomenal, and the kind of company that I would have been if I was still in normal working life would have been desperate to work for. They sound incredible, and there are rare gems out there. Just talking to our mutual friend Steve Paul Burton this morning, and he was talking about, similar to what MK was saying, all the isms, so the racism, the sexism, all of and the obius, we learn through others. We're not born with those. We're not born with that level of hate and fear. And I think there is a slow movement of things starting to change in those bigger entities. It's a slow burn. I think the pandemic is massively
making a difference to that.
Absolutely.
And you know, we're moving away from understanding that it's not about we all have to be there in the office together showing that we're working. Maybe there's a higher awareness that we need to connect to contributing to the world instead now. But there's still a long way to go. And being squashed within that corporate environment, you know, I just remember this constant dilemma of fighting for, you know, ethically and morally, knowing that I needed to fight for what was right, but then also being so fearful of being cancelled, essentially, and told...
Labelled a troublemaker.
Yeah, and I was labelled a troublemaker. I was, and that's why I ended up being made redundant. And what it did to me was it drove me down. It made me have to pick my battles. It made me smaller. It made me quieter. It made me resentful of my own very self, because I was not standing up for the causes that I knew I needed to stand up for, because I just needed to survive, and I had no energy left to fight. Mm-hmm. And it made me really incredibly uncomfortable. And I just won't do it anymore.
What we've got now is that wonderful kind of crossover into, we're bringing up a completely different generation of people because of COVID, because we are now curious about this whole new world of non-binary and non-gender specific, and we're comfortable talking about all this, whereas previously we weren't. So we need to get corporate businesses to a place where they're embracing that and make sure that they can to that next generation that are coming in, because they're your future CEOs, they're your future SLTs, and they could change the world. I think we're in that crossover place now where with some worlds that we work in, it's not going to change because you've got your old hat still there. They're slowly going, they're slowly leaving, and we've got a new wave of people.
The old grey man, I can't remember who it was talking about this the other week to me, saying it's the old grey men. Oh God, I can't remember now, but it's that thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Whereas now we've got people coming in. We know. Let's talk about interviews. We interview in different ways because younger people and people of a younger generation, their values and morals are completely different. They're not, what's my bonus and how much you're going to pay me? What do you do for the environment?
Yeah.
Talk to me about sustainability. What groups do you have in terms of
what's your aim for your carbon footprint? Yeah,
absolutely.
What's your social responsibility?
Different mindset.
That old grey man thing. I mean, one more thing that used to wind me up no end was my late father-in-law, bless him, lovely bloke, but you know, we'd do things like buy him an iPad for Christmas, you know, and it wouldn't even get taken out of the box because it didn't have an instruction manual. You know, well, I can't use that. I'm too old to do things like that. You know, too old to learn anything new. And I used to have to walk away and go, what?
But it's learned behaviour.
Of course it is.
I present Exhibit A. I have a whiteboard and I have a pen. But I also have 3 bloody phones. Why am I not putting stuff on here? I voice note all the time. I send my myself all the time. But I sit here in my working life going, that's what I must do. I mean, more for me, scribbling's by my little girl at the moment. But as well, it's because I'm like, I really need to be able to see it so I know I do it. Oh, come on, I'm intelligent enough to look at a phone and cross it off a list. But it's a learned behaviour. I was always taught, write it down or you'll forget it. Write it down.
But you know what? If that works for you, then that's cool.
Well, yeah. And that's the people pleaser piece. That's the acceptance.
Yeah.
That works for me. So I'm all right with it.
And I'll tell you what, I would just say, if they're up, excuse me, I'm eating some fruit Mentos.
All right.
I know they're nice, actually. Yeah, all right, look, £1.
Not boasting.
Morrison. I do like a little sweetie every so often.
Bet you do.
The one thing I would say, and forgive me if there are any listening in, school teachers, stop it.
Stop what?
Getting in your own bloody way and holding kids back.
In what way?
They're tied by a curriculum, aren't
Yeah, they are.
They are tied by the national.
They are tied so tightly.
And regulations, and you can't do that, and you can't say this, you can say that, but you can't go anywhere near a child for fear of, you know.
I know people who've left the teaching industry because of what you're talking about, Steve, because they have tried, they've been labelled the troublemaker.
Well, exactly.
It's so sad. I just want to say, Andrew's saying, sorry, Emma sounded better as a text. No need to apologise, Andrew. Your message was fantastic. Claire Grove, my lovely friend Claire, is saying, I've taken a step back to look at my goals in my work and work life, being unemployed through 2 redundancies last year. You've had a tough time, haven't you, love? There was no point getting angry or upset about this, although I did a couple of times. Perfectly natural. And I decided that I needed to pave my way. As a result, I've chosen where I need to be, and I've had an interview this morning. I'm not going back into property, but into something that I know I can transfer my skills into. I'm very excited. I'm really excited for you. I just got goosebumps for you then, Claire. That's really cool. Cheryl's asking you, Steve, is it half a mento? Is it just a men or a toe?
What? I don't get it. Is it a hard one?
Hashtag crime egg.
All right,
Hashtag crime egg.
Oh my God, get with it.
I have actually got some Mentos in here that for some reason they've broken, so I'm eating them at half at a time.
Oh, well, there we go then.
Well, that's me all over, isn't it? Just go for half, you know.
Just half a job.
Half
a job.
Not all the time, Em.
Oh God. You know, we do the light and shade very easily, don't we, in Rebel World? We fluctuate wildly from one to the other.
No, I just say things and people interpret them out they want. So, and then I get accused of being smutty and using innuendo. Well,
yeah, but we know you are. That's the thing.
No, not at all. All I said was I never just do half a job.
But you are, though.
But is it though?
but yeah, you is.
What is it? You have to ask me.
Claire
That's
and I
just offended most of Croydon.
We've got lots of people tuning into our random madness.
See, we're a lure, we are.
Aren't we? We're a lure.
We're a lure. We should do I reckon we should do a conference or a summit.
Well, funny you should talk about that. Oh my God, I've just got a major weird tuning in buzzing noise in my ear. That's really freaky. Woo!
That'll be your feelings, love.
I ain't got none. Not a single filling.
Not a single filling.
I totally resisted the temptation to say something then. Did you notice that?
Right. Well done, Chandler. So let's talk about this concept. So we'll bring this out into the open because then it'll make it real and then we'll have to do it. So Steve's kind of instigated this to a certain degree, but also unbeknownst to him, I also had a vision maybe I did tell you this vision not long beforehand, and I had someone else get a vision of this as well, that we at some point are going to hold some incredible based conference, convention, event, something that is going to be the most amazing thing. And we're going to get people together. We're going to have an event, maybe a day long, 2 days long, something like that, where we do the most powerful, brilliant things. We have incredible speakers. We do incredible activities that help people be their own rebellious selves unapologetically. And I had a vision last week of that culminating in our very own rebel yell, a very literal rebel yell where we all basically let out our souls in the form of our very own yell all at once together. And I just got massive goosebumps when I had that sort of concept come into my head.
We can all shout out our souls.
No, we're not doing that. Don't ruin it now. it's like But anyway, so we're going to, at some point in the future, we are going to be doing that, aren't we, guys? And
Absolutely.
We're going to have the most amazing time.
It will be. I think it needs to be 2 days with an overnight, a massive, great big group dinner together.
Yeah.
And
I think we could have people select whether they do, 1 day or 2 days, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It could be so cool.
It's going to be that.
So that's exciting. We've got a good collection of people online, although they are sort of withering away now. We had got up to something like 15 or so, which is probably one of the highest numbers we've had live. We're down to 9 now, so we might have pushed our limits a little bit. Get them back. If we pushed it too far, I don't know. Maybe people just need to get back to work. Who knows? But yeah, so this is just such an amazing topic, and I don't know. I just
did we get onto seeds of doubt?
We did touch on seeds of doubt. That's where we started.
That's where we started.
That's where it all comes from, isn't it? This whole, comes from this. Now we think of it like this. It is from this whole kind of need for attachment.
Yeah.
Can I be my authentic self? What do I need to buy? Buy these branded clothes, or do what other people do, wear what other people wear to be attached? I'll tell you the one that actually just dawned on me. Football. I bloody hate football.
Yeah, I'm not into it either.
Right. And I look at it and I just go, we live in a world that still is coming to terms with homophobia, and yet 30,000 men can all stand in close proximity at the weekend, hugging and kissing each other and going, yay! And then 24 of them all jump in the bath together.
What a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Where's the soap?
If he's in the middle of it.
Where's the soap? Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Now we need to just highlight at the moment that when Steve does his little act, this is not a piss take situation. This is
I just do it a little bit too well.
Yeah.
We're getting into the authenticity, aren't we?
We are. Very much so. Interesting.
Question as well. What does authenticity mean to people? What does it mean? When you look at somebody and think, they're being really authentic, because it's that
how do we know when someone's being authentic?
Yeah, because it is. So we talk about people pleasing, and we talk how we should move away from people pleasing, because sometimes it's just so unhealthy. But there's many different facets, and there's the unhealthiness of people pleasing, where that's all you do. So you neglect yourself so badly, that's all you do. But then to the other end, where people look and go, do you know what? She's a bitch, because she doesn't care for anybody, she doesn't like anybody. Well, no, because I'm taking care of myself, I'm doing things for myself. And I just feel so sorry sometimes for people who are transitioning through that people pleaser development journey of life, because you please less when you're older. No, Steve, because naturally you become more comfortable in your own skin, and naturally you think, no, actually this is not what I want to do this weekend, because I want to do something for me. But then because of that transgression, and this is where we go into that circle of people will move in and out of your life, because suddenly, because you haven't said yes to them, it's like, well, she's changed. Yeah, well, she's being a coward. Oh, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
I'm just becoming more authentic to my needs and what I want. If you want to live my life, fine. That's fine.
Paul Wolstenholme says authenticity is acknowledging your true soul and self and expressing it congruently. I think that's great. How do we know though? How do we sense when somebody's being authentic?
Right.
How do we know that?
I was just going to say, I think Paul's spot on. The problem is, I'm not saying that this is Paul at all in any way, right? But I, through experience of working with a lot of speakers, trainers, coaches and consultants, is that kind of statement is more easy to say than it is to live and breathe.
Oh yeah, by a long shot. Yeah.
And I've sat in meetings of, in speaking conventions where people have stood on stage and they've gone, oh, you've got to be authentic. Oh, look at me, I'm doing such and such. And then they come off stage and they can't make conversation with somebody around the coffee machine. And you just think, so what was that? You're not being authentic.
It's lip service.
Yeah.
Lip service.
Yeah. You're right. So what, so to answer my own question about how do we know when someone's being authentic, to me, it's a feeling, it's an instinct, it's an intuition. I just have a sense that things are aligned and coming together, and there's something in me that says this person is being who they are, and I believe them. They're believable, they're trustworthy. There's something about their energy that says to me, yeah, that's who they are. That feels good. And if they're not authentic, then I feel that misalignment. And I often find myself saying, there's just something about this person, I can't put my finger on them, and I can't tell you what it is. I don't think they're a bad person. I think they're a good person. They have good intentions, but there's something about them that I can't quite explain. And I've come to realize they're not aligned with their own self and their own higher self. Now, what's the first move? So, if you are, going on about authenticity and you're not being authentic, what's the first move in becoming aware of that, do you think?
Well, I would just
listen to people.
Yeah.
Listen, because, we're all very much, oh, give me feedback, talk to me, be honest with me. And then we hate what people say. How dare you? Well, when people have that instinctive feeling, I think we've all got to grow a pair of balls and kind of do actually, we don't have to be confrontational, but we just talk to people and just make them aware. You can't be self-aware until you hear it and you accept it, because it's really difficult we don't know what we don't know. And if we think what we're bringing is authenticity, it's not until you break that cycle and have a really deep conversation with somebody to think, actually, maybe they're right. And it's that consistency, isn't it? If I find that somebody changes from whoever they're interacting with, if I see them in different social circles and they're different with each different circle, or they're different within each kind of situation they are in, then that's an adaptability to try and...
How different? Because I would consider myself to be a bit chameleon-esque when it comes to social stuff. I can adapt to that situation. There is always an aura of me in it, though. So what's the difference that would make you suspicious?
I think you went with one of the what I clung on to, and what you said a little while ago, Em, was that you used the word trustworthiness.
Right.
Now that could be because I'm in a scenario at the moment where trust is
workers brought tea.
Nice one. That I'm in a scenario at the moment where I'm, trust is completely broken down, and it's all being levied at me that I'm the cause of there not being any trust, and so on and so on. But actually, trustworthiness is a judgment.
Yeah.
It's a judgment based on the filter that you're looking through. Now,
or is it, because to me, trust is a soul level intuitive thing. It's a much deeper thing. If I genuinely trust someone, it comes from somewhere very different than judgment. Because there's just there's a knowing in me at some level that I can trust them, and then usually it's followed up by their actions.
It's the age-old conversation, isn't it, where I will trust you until you break my trust, because it's quite a difficult thing to kind of quantify is that gut feeling. And yes, we all have those gut feelings, but do we tend to give people the benefit of the doubt until they break that kind of trust in them, until they break that link or that kind of connection that you have with them?
Yeah, and some people are the opposite, aren't they? They're never trust anybody until you really, really work hard to earn it. And that, I can completely understand that sort of behaviour, because I nearly got there when I was younger. I got hurt so many times. I tried to adopt that, realised I couldn't, because that's not my nature anyway. But it is really hard, because sometimes that trust does have to go through filters. And those filters are normally created through many years of hurt and disappointment and pain.
It goes back to your nurturing.
Yeah.
Those seeds of doubt that are planted at a very, very early age.
Yeah.
Which also then goes back to the need for attachment and the suppression of authenticity.
Yeah.
That actually you can't. I mean, one of my early experiences was being, I'd not been at school long. I was about 5 or 6, I think. And I desperately wanted to say to my mum that I had a girlfriend. Now, at that age, you don't have a girlfriend, do you? You have, somebody that you said you both like each other, and that you stand and stare at each other from opposite ends of the playground.
And pluck up the courage to hold hands.
And potentially just to show you like them, just go over and push them over or pull their hair.
Yeah, do you want to be my girlfriend? Yeah, all right then, okay. And then that's it, isn't it? End of conversation. And And I couldn't bring up the courage to tell my mum.
Right.
And I was 6, and even as I sit here now, I can remember sitting on the, at the kitchen table, desperately wanting to tell her. You have, somebody that you see. Oh. And it was bizarre, and I remember at the time saying to her, I want to tell you something. And she, oh, what's that? And I went, well, everyone at school's telling their mum this. Oh yeah, what's that? What's that? She said. And I went, I just want to tell you I love you.
Oh.
Because I couldn't pluck it. That was easier to say that than it was to pluck up the courage. And actually thinking about it, what was going on?
Yeah.
Was the fear of saying to my mum, I've got a girlfriend. So
what did you think was going to happen?
Well, I don't need you anymore.
And that's the connection you made with it, you think?
Well, I am now as I sit here. I didn't then because I was only 6.
Yeah, but subconsciously, like,
yeah,
were you fearful that she was going to react? Like,
yeah. That's the little bird in the nest, isn't it? Being fed every day, and suddenly, another little bird comes in and goes, you don't need these bigger birds to feed you anymore. We'll provide you all the food.
So you'd found your own little bird.
And several since, it has to be said. Most of whom while I was married. That was the problem.
Oh, God. Let's not get into
No, I didn't say that. Edit that bit out.
Woo!
But you said, I think Lisa said earlier, but was it about need for lust and belonging and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that need to be desired, is like a big deal, isn't it? For sure.
I have a need to stop being desired. I'm just like, get away. I've had enough.
Just fending them
off. Them off with a stick.
Get away.
Part of the problem of looking like Jason Statham.
Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed so vehemently.
Anyone who knows me will know that all of that is actually self-deprecating stuff.
Yeah, but right. So okay, this is the other thing, isn't it? We deflect with humour. We deflect our need for love and approval with humour. We do that all the time, don't we? I remember there was a guy I used to go to school with who he was the clown. He was always the idiot, and he would do crazy things like he would pretend to play basketball with your head and stuff. He would bounce.
He was the headmaster.
Make you bounce around the hall, kind of pretending that you're. So, yeah, but no one took him seriously, and it was deeply like he was just this tiny little boy. He just wanted to be loved, and the only way he could find to do it was to play the fool all the time, and it actually really screwed him up. It's really sad, but yeah. Let's see what we've got going on here. Great session, folks. Shill says, really resonated with me. Got a bounce this delivering a workshop shortly. Go for it, girl. She's probably gone already, bless her. Rebel Alliance, Paul suggesting for the event, and Phil said Rebel Regatta or Regatta. I don't know how we say that.
Rebel Regatta.
Regatta.
Bit of Iggy Pop never hurt anyone, Andrew says. Yeah.
What was that again? Say that again.
Iggy Pop never hurt anyone.
Lust for Life.
Lust for Life. I wish I could play that now without getting banned off Facebook. Think I was meant to watch this morning. Thanks. You're very welcome, Wendy, and thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you, Wendy. You have been watching the Seeds of Doubt Hour with.
Do you know what this is called? I really love the impromptu nature of this. Maybe we should do this more often.
I think so. 100%.
Amazing. I love it.
It's called it's going with the flow and winging it, isn't it? I mean, being spontaneous.
Yeah.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, everyone likes one a bit spontaneously every so often.
And also we've completely messed up Mamaru's one of Mamaru's amazing catchphrases by saying,
and if you can't love yourself, You can't love yourself. How the hell do you expect anybody else? Can I get an amen?
Yeah, I can't even do it. I can't even remember.
I suggest that we do the whole.
Amen.
I suggest we do the next one in the voice of Brian Bedondo.
Oh, that's really hard to maintain.
Yes, it would be very hard to maintain.
Exactly.
I ain't even going to attempt it because I will probably offend somebody, so I ain't going to do
it. Steve says, keep up, it's only a 25-year-old tune.
So it's never keen on Iggy Pop. I was a new romantic.
Oh, I can imagine that with your long flowing locks.
I did have I had a
your blousy sleeves.
Oh yeah.
Right, Rebels, I'm going to love you and leave you.
Yeah,
I have to go and interview somebody for their dream position.
Good luck. Yes.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, everybody who's tuned in, and your comments and your input has been absolutely flipping brilliant. Thank you.
We love you all.
Thank you, Steve, for prompting this. An absolutely brilliant discussion. I've loved it.
You're a star, Emma. Everyone loves you.
Oh, thanks. God, that was a bit creepy, but lovely.
Creepy?
I'm gonna stop our...
You can't stand you, really.
That's better. Right, I'm going to stop the live stream. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.